Hey there, friends and neighbors in internet land. Jack Spirko here with the video that I promised you yesterday when I gave you 12, even though I kept saying 10 because that was the original plan for the video, but 12 reasons that I believe Donald Trump will win re-election in 2020. Today I'm giving you, as I said, the promised video that says, well, here's 12 things that Trump's kind of made mistakes with that could be why that 10% advantage, that 10% opportunity for Biden to still win actually happens, and I could be wrong with my assertion yesterday. There's a couple things that you should know about this video if you're new to me. Number one, I'm not on Team Biden or Team Trump. I don't vote. This is an outsider's view. I'm looking at this from a standpoint, if I was an advisor to either campaign, if I was actually trying to get one of these guys elected or deal with their deficiencies or whatever, what would I be concerned with? What would I be looking at? If I didn't care other than I'm being paid to make it happen, because a lot of the stuff I'm going to give you that's considered good, I don't necessarily agree with, but it wins elections. So I'm like a weatherman here in this. And then the next thing is, again, for my special children out there who subscribe to my channel for my duck videos or my gardening videos or whatever, and feel the need to rant and rave like little children down in the comments section about how you don't subscribe for politics. First of all, most of you, you don't like what I have to say because you think I'm a conservative. You don't understand what an anarchist actually is. But if I was touting your shit, then you would not have a problem with it. And number two, the reason so many of you people that are, what we call left wing, want more government is you have an inability to regulate yourself, so you want the government to do it for you. Because if you could regulate yourself, you just would say, oh, here's one of Jack's videos. Look at the title. It's on politics. I don't like that. I'm not going to watch it. Instead, you watch it and throw a tantrum like an adult child. No wonder you want more government and more regulation. You can't control yourself. Anyway, let's get into this. Again, most of these are not what you would expect. Like, I'm not going to say one of the reasons that Trump could lose is because of how shitty he performed in the first debate. We all know that. Or that COVID, the dissatisfaction with the COVID pandemic among people could lead to it. We all know that. These are things that you're not probably going to hear the pundits talk about. And if I'm a voter who actually believes in the dichotomy, would be able to possibly persuade me if I was in that little group in the middle we keep talking about that's actually up for grabs. Because the people that will vote Republican, if my dog Max is running as the Republican candidate, it doesn't pertain to them. And if you're one of those people on either side, none of this matters to you. And it's not going to, and you're irrelevant to the discussion. Only the mushy middle matters here. So, number one, and I'm going to be clear too that I could be wrong, that maybe he's doing a better job on this than I think, because I am in Texas. Texas is not a battleground state. The only advertisements I've seen for Trump here are basically Biden sucks. You're only going to hear one of the 12 that's even a direct criticism of Biden or even has anything to do with Joe Biden. Because you can win elections by actually presenting what you've done well. See, this is something the president, the incumbent, has an advantage because they have a record to run on. It's not things I'm going to do, it's things I've done. And here is, most of this list is off of that, the first 10. The complete destruction of the Islamic Caliphate. Now, we do not have complete and total peace and bliss in the Middle East, and we have not gotten rid of all of these terrorist-type people. Some of them aren't terrorists. I'm anti-war, but again, I'm coming at this from trying to win the election. When President Trump took over, there was a massive swath throughout, specifically the region in and around Iraq, that was controlled by ISIS. They're gone. They're obliterated. They've literally been turned into fragments of dust. Again, being the anti-war person I am, if I was president, I would have just brought everybody home within a couple weeks after I took over. But that's not what's going to win an election for Trump. What Trump could say is, hey, I came in, we did this, it's done. He says a lot of these things you're going to hear me say today in his speeches, but only the people that are already going to vote for him listen to them. These are things that should be driven home in political advertisements by surrogates on the media when they get on the other networks, etc. And it's not happening. The complete and total destruction of the caliphate in the Middle East is something that he should be running on. Number two, the continuing withdrawal of U.S. forces from Iraq and Afghanistan. That is just not being pushed hard enough. and I'll add into that one and make it one of in the same bullet point, and the tremendous movement toward peace in the Middle East. In doing that at the same time, we've defeated the Caliphate. We're withdrawing our troops. By the way, even with that, we've had 3 nations recognize Israel's right to exist and enter into a peace treaty with the nation of Israel. 3 Islamic nations. That is huge, and I know you've heard it on the news. It hasn't been driven home. Not to the undecided voter. It has not. The media outreaches that are being done are focusing on Joe Biden sucks instead of look what we've done. Because that ties right into that reason he can win yesterday with things like the Jewish vote that was traditionally Democrat. This needs to be driven home much harder than he has done so. The progress with the space program, which did begin under Barack Obama, but really wasn't really, picking up steam and was kind of just tacit. And Obama, of course, is the person that destroyed NASA, ripped it down and cut the budgets. And then you started these new programs, but didn't really fund them heavily, didn't really push them heavily. Trump got on this and jumped on it. And this is actually something I actually do agree with. I think of all the shitty things government does, one of the most benign and beneficial to mankind things that the government does is NASA. And the fact that we are on target right now to put a United States female on our moon by 2024, by the end of his second term, if he wins re-election. Again, it gets mentioned here and there in a speech, but it has not been driven home. This is the kind of thing that excites the hearts and minds of people. It's an emotional thing. It doesn't mean as much as it sounds like it means, but it's persuasive. It's inspiring. It's the kind of things that help you win an election. You hear almost nothing about it. Next, the results of opportunity zones. If I were the Trump campaign, I would have taken some of my millions and millions of dollars and I would have funded, several small-scale documentaries following Fred or Tom or Bill through how they have taken these opportunity zones and built successful businesses or reestablished business or whatever. I wouldn't even try to be putting that into a TV commercial or something. It just sounds like a buzzword, but 15-minute documentaries, like college student level film producers going in, 2 camera angles, decent editing, following Tom through his day and talking about what it means and using viral marketing for that. That would be something that would, wouldn't even be able to be blocked by Facebook and Twitter. They could never, in fact, if they did, it would be the best thing that could ever happen. I've seen nothing like that. I've heard opportunity zones. I've seen no results. And I know they're there. I know you can at least, pun intended, trump some up. And it's not been done. That's a weakness. That's a weakness with the minority vote. That's a weakness with demonstrating a commitment to helping minorities. It really is, even though the policy's sound. Next up, VA choice. It gets talked about a lot, again, in stump speeches. VA choice is something that you could build that 30-second commercial in the right counties around. That whole thing. These veterans, supposedly Democrats care so much about their health care, but they were dying in line at VA and we gave them a choice. There's almost nobody in America, right, except people that hate soldiers. Anybody that's remotely pro-military at all. VA choice is incredibly popular with, and most people who are out there, general population, have no idea what VA choice even is, or that Donald Trump did it, or how many presidents, how many former administrations said, yeah, it's a problem, but we can't do anything. Not driving that point home. So I'm giving you a good policy in this instance, but a failure to communicate the policy well and use it as part of a heavy focus of re-election campaigning. Right to try equally is another one that's just not been driven home with the average person. The fact that now, if I am dying of some sort of rare cancer or something, and there's a clinical trial going on that's showing promise, and my doctor says, look, we don't want to put Jack in this clinical trial. Jack's got 3 months to freaking live. And Jack is going to be dead in 90 days. And Jack is going to spend the last 2 weeks of his life, if we don't do something, living in misery and pain and probably pulling his 45 out and blowing his own brains out. So Jack wants to try this. And the worst thing that's going to happen is Jack's going to die and Jack's already going to die. I've always thought it was insane that that was even a thing. That there should be a point where, like, okay, this person otherwise is terminal. We got nothing else. This might help. Let them try it. It's their life. They have that right. Trump got that done. We've been talking about that since the freaking 70s. Trump got that done. You hear almost nothing about it. Now, I know some of you out there that are on Team Orange Man are going to be like, but the media won't talk about it. That's what I'm saying, dummies. He needs to be talking about it, and not just in stump speeches. They're spending all this money on all these advertisements. That's another example of, you can't put it in a 400-page book by Dan Bongino or something like that. You've got to put it in 2 to 6 minute like videos and things like that of people that it actually affects. There should be videos of some lady that made it through, because some people have actually survived and beat the odds because of this. You should have their stories being told in 2 to 6 minute videos. And those should be being circulated around. It's incredibly powerful. If you object to it, you look like a piece of shit, because you are. How can you object to a person now living that would have otherwise died because of a policy that says that person had a right to try something? It's incredibly compelling. Fell flat on its face, did it, but doesn't bring the messaging with it. Instead, it's Creepy Joe sucks. Yeah. Okay. Next is a comprehensive health care plan. He actually has one. Honestly, I think it's a effing train wreck. But you keep hearing the liberals say he hasn't introduced a comprehensive health care plan. It's right on his website. President Trump has a comprehensive health care plan. I'm not saying it's great. It's better than what we have. Still sucks. I have a way to fix healthcare. You won't like it, and I won't get into it today. I don't have time. Excuse me, I have COVID, I guess, here from the cough. Anyway. LaCroix cures COVID. No, it doesn't. Don't ban me, YouTube. Anyway, he does have a comprehensive healthcare plan. I would pull out the 6 best primary bullet points about it, and in battleground states, specifically where healthcare polls highly, I would be running an advertisement that has Joe Biden or Kamala Harris saying something like, he doesn't have a plan. Like a big X, and then straight off the Trump website with the URL, and then hit those 6 bullet points. Wrong again, Joe. Something like that. Drive that point home. Yes, we do. You're not talking about it. He released his latest version of it 2.5 months ago. Heard shit about it. And when he was challenged, I'm going to get to the debates here in a second. The second debate, in 2 missed opportunities are my last 2. But in the debate, I would add that as another missed opportunity. Biden said he doesn't have a health care plan. He said, really? He didn't say anything back to it at all. He said, yes, I do. And it's at, Trump 2020 or whatever the hell it is, .com/healthcare. Go look at it. I mean, that would have been such an easy layup of a response. Wrong again, Joe. Wrong. In the way it was how he says it. Wrong. Right? Wrong. Next up is the massive foreign investment in the United States due to Trump's protectionist pro-union policies. I don't think most people even have a clue about what's going on. One of my best friends is kind of like an account manager, project manager for a major electrical, plumbing, etc. construction company. And he just completed like a $9 million project on a $100 million construction of a single facility on the coast of Texas that's being built by the Chinese in America to manufacture plastics, because it makes more sense for them now to do their manufacturing in our country than to do it in China. Yeah. Those are a huge number of American jobs building that facility, and then a massive number of American jobs working in that facility. And it's only one of many. And it's being built on natural gas, where they have these old natural gas wells where it doesn't really make sense to pump gas out of them anymore for production purposes, but there's 100 years left of gas there at a much smaller rate than a commercial extraction. And so the plants are being built there because they can generate their own electricity. This is incredibly innovative. And I know some fossil fuels go get out, buy, because you don't. I hope you're not running fossil fuels to run your house then in your car. Hope you're on all freaking wind and solar then before you complain about it. Natural gas is the cleanest fossil fuel we have. And that gas is there. They're not doing any kind of extraction. It's just pressurized. It's free energy basically at this point, and it's fueling this incredible economic recovery. And there's multiple places where this is going on where it's not the gas doing it. It's just these policies having foreign companies build their production facilities in America. That's a hell of a lot better than having our companies building our production facilities in China, isn't it? Not driving it home. Not communicating that. That is a massive mistake, because that's that union demographic and that pro-America demographic and that we should have jobs for people at home demographic. That's pretty universal. There's a lot of people you can steal out of the middle, and on that moderate left with that message, not happening. Most of you just found out this is even a thing right now from me instead of the president and his campaign. Next up, getting rid of TPP and thereby saving American jobs. This one's probably been talked about by the president more and gotten out more to the general population. But most people that are against it because they were told to be against it. They don't even know what it was. They've been told, actually, this is going to make more jobs go to China. No. What it's going to do is stop the entire East from becoming all of China with all this preferential ability to import shit into our country with duty and tariff free. And it would be you talk about NAFTA being a giant sucking sound. Remember Ross Perot? It's a giant sucking sound. He wasn't wrong. TPP would have made NAFTA look like a joke. Getting out of that was one of the smartest things, and I'll throw renegotiating NAFTA to UMCA into that together. The TPP going away and USMCA coming in. Another thing that everybody said, you'll never do it, it can't be done, you'll never do it, and even the left had to say, that was pretty good. Not being driven home to the people that need to hear the message. That's a very pro-union, pro-middle class message, if it was explained articulately, and it hasn't been. Next, the recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. This needs to be driven home for a couple reasons. One is because the left shrieked and screamed it was going to cause, basically another war, more terrorism. They went through their typical hysterical fear-mongering, and you know what happened? Nothing. Nothing directly happened because of this. And the shit that happens over there happens all the time anyway. Again, if it was up to me, we'd be completely out of that mess tomorrow morning. Yesterday, 2 years ago, whenever you gave me the authority, I'd have every single United States troop out of the Middle East and out of Afghanistan as fast as we can get them out safely. But if we're going to be there, and we're going to say Israel is our greatest ally in the Middle East, and we're going to deny their capital is their capital, that is just bullshit. And every president in my memory has talked about doing it. None of them did it. They all sat on their thumb and rocked back to see how far up their ass it would go while they talked about it, and Trump did it. And what did I say yesterday? A key demographic that he can steal from is the Jewish demographic because of his success with peace treaties and with diplomatic relations being established with 3 Islamic countries in Israel. That's massive. But then recognizing Jerusalem, which is the capital of Israel, as the capital of Israel, that's another chance to just pull a huge piece of that. Traditionally, the Democrats take it for granted demographic. Has not been done. I'm sorry, it hasn't. And I know ye old faithful orange man voter who pays attention to everything he does and thinks everything he does is wonderful, you know about it, but you don't count. Just like your cousin who thinks he's Hitler reincarnated, doesn't count either. It's only the middle that you can move that matters in winning a presidential election. Next up. These are the 2 final ones, 11 and 12, that I think were huge missed opportunities overall, but definitely at the debate. The first one is he failed to point out what I call the leftist gamble. The leftist gamble. And what I mean by that is Biden is playing both sides of the fence on almost every issue. He's promising to give the extreme radical left exactly what they want. Of course, conservatives lose their mind and say he's the next, Khrushchev or something, right? He's worse than Bernie or whatever. Or, Harris is and she's really going to be... That doesn't move the middle. The middle doesn't listen to that. They really don't. But what they would listen to is this. He is promising the radical left to do all the things that they want done. And he did take people like Beto O'Rourke, right? And Bernie Sanders and AOC and give them complete control over his platform. Additionally, he's speaking, as he always has, more as a moderate Democrat to that kind of Midwesterner, that central PA type. I'm from Scranton. Joe is from Scranton. Yeah, whatever. Bullshit. You look like a week. I'm from Central PA, dude. You do not represent Central PA. But people believe that he does, right? So Trump has not yet pointed out in any meaningful way, either through advertising, through surrogates, or directly, the leftist gamble. Because here, if you are on the left and you're voting for Joe Biden and you believe in the dichotomy, right, you're making a bet. You're betting you're the half of the left that's not getting screwed. And that's how they're both justifying it. The moderate Democrats, there's Democrats that are pro-gun. They just want more safety, whatever bullshit, but they're generally pro-gun. They're the hardworking Midwestern types that lean left because of emotion, right? Or they're the wives of those guys, right? They lean left, but they're persuadable. And they're banking on, well, Joe's not really going to bring socialized medicine. Joe's not really going to ban fracking. And I don't want to hear arguments about whether it's going to happen or not. That's what that side's betting. The other side's betting, hey, look, we know what's really going on here. He was clear to us, and now he's saying what he has to get elected, and we have to let him do that, and we still have to support him because Comrade Bernie says so. Okay. Both of them can't get what they want. I would have turned to Joe in the debate, made that very clear, and said, so Joe, can you look in the camera right now and tell the people on the left, the moderate left and the extreme left, which one of them you're going to screw over? That would have been a soundbite played over and over and over again. But no, never points it out. That's a winning message. And then, failure to drive home how crazy it is. The recent polls show as many as 55% of Americans say they're doing better now than they were before Trump took office. In the middle of a freaking pandemic with an 8% unemployment rate, 55% of Americans say they're doing better. Joe Biden has kept calling it a K-shaped recovery. I mean, it's getting worse for some and better for others. And it's the billionaires and millionaires who are recovering. Well, let me tell you a little secret there, Mr. Biden. I know you're kind of crazy and you should have went ahead and retired and fed ice cream to seagulls in Florida long ago. So you're not quite clear on this. 55% of Americans are not millionaires or even affluent or even upper middle class. If you have 55% of Americans saying, my life is actually better today than before Trump took office, that is incredible. That's better numbers than Obama had when he got reelected in a landslide, and there wasn't a pandemic going on. He should have got that into the debate. And there was plenty of opportunities to do it. And just so you know, he's telling you that your life is worse off. But more than half of Americans today say they're better off now under a Trump administration than they were under his administration 4 years ago, in the middle of a pandemic. If that's true for you, you should vote for me, because imagine if we can be this much better off with this going on. When this eventually passes, and anybody with common sense knows that it will, because every pandemic always has, imagine how much better it'll be for you then. And do you really want to go back to a person who didn't have it as good as it is today without a pandemic to deal with? That would have been very powerful. And I think all of those are places where very compelling messages could be made. And as I said, only 2 of them are even negative about Biden or the prior administration, the Obama-Biden administration. 10 of them are, hey, look what we've done. That's the advantage an incumbent has. Look what I have done. These are all, I hate all politicians. And I will say, these are all solid improvements over where we were. Even the ones I disagree with, they are better than where we were. And I left out the tax cut. Benefited me hugely. I'm not rich. I make good money though. And I got a huge tax cut. So many Americans like me out there that make about the amount of money I do, that operate kind of the way that I do. If you have a good accountant, you got a great tax. If you didn't get a good tax cut under Trump, you need a new accountant or you don't make any money. That's all I can say. You can't give a tax cut to somebody who doesn't pay taxes. That's not a thing. That's huge too. But I mean, that people know that. That's one of those things you can kind of, like, people know they either got a tax cut or they didn't. So when Nancy Pelosi says it's breadcrumbs and you have an extra $2,500 in your pocket, you know she's full of shit and you want to keep your crumbs, right? But these other things, these are massive changes. These are differentiators. Many of them are things that many presidents promised you they would do on both sides of the aisle for decades and didn't do shit about. And to give the orange man credit, he did it. But he's not talking about it. Instead, he wants to talk about Hunter Biden. That's worth talking about. You'd be a fool not to use it. But it should make up 10% of your attack. 90% of your attack should be offense about what you've gotten done. So, Obama once said about Joe Biden, never underestimate Joe's ability to screw something up. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to that effect. You guys that are on Team Orange Man, never underestimate the Orange Man's ability to screw something up. That guy would be so much more popular and so much more of a shoo-in if he would learn to shut up and put his damn phone away once in a while and stop tweeting dumb shit. On the other side of it, a lot of that stuff is why people love him. He's president and I'm not, so we'll see. I'm still 90% Trump will win, but these are all weaknesses that didn't have to be weaknesses. Take care, guys, and that's it. I am done talking politics for a while. My favorite reality about the election soon to come is I'll stop seeing advertisements, but we're going to see some crazy ass shit in and around the election. Again, I think the Democrats know everything that I'm saying is factual. I think the Democrats know they're going to lose. I think the mainstream media knows they're going to lose, and they're playing for the loss. They're playing for the loss. If you were an NFL team, you got one game left, you ain't going to make the playoffs, and if you lose, your draft pick gets better, what do? You pull your starting players, and then you pretend you're trying to win. And the team thinks they're trying to win. Sleepy Creepy Joe and Kamala Harris, they're not going to not take the shot. But the real hand behind the scene, the general manager, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, they know what they're doing. And anybody with an IQ over 100 knows what they're doing. They're putting their second string in, and they're saying, go on, guys, here's your chance. They're telling the quarterback, hey, look, man, we want you healthy in the offseason. We're bringing some new blood in. We want you to be able to work with them. We're not going to risk an injury here at the end where it's not going to matter. We're going to bench you and let the number 2 guy get some experience on the field in case something does happen to you next year. So he's got that experience under his belt. And wink. That's what the Democrats are doing. They're playing for that loss. And their goal isn't a better draft pick. It's a whole bunch of cities on fire the night after Election Day. And they're probably going to get what they want. So keep your powder dry. Stay prepared. Get the hell out of the flashpoint cities. And some of y'all are telling me, I would have left here a long time ago, but money. Man, almost every one of these cities is expensive to live in, and they're shitholes. And I've had so many listeners over the years tell me the same thing. I said, why don't you actually look at it? And the ones that did, they always come back and they say, you know what? I found a job making less money, but when I did the math and figured out what it's going to cost me to live in this place, I'm going to make less more money, but have more money. It ain't how much money you make that matters, folks. It's how much you keep. That's why I also think you should all look at building a business. You want people like, I don't believe in this political shit anymore. I'll commentate on it because you guys want to know what I think. And because as an outsider, I have a more clear view than people that have a vested interest in this shit. But I'll tell you what, I'm not worried about what the tax rate is because whatever the tax code is, I'm going to work that bitch hard. In fact, my little accountant that's worth more than she weighs in gold to me is going to work that shit for me. And I earn money, then I spend it, and I pay tax on what's left. And most of y'all listening to this, you earn money, pay tax on it, and you keep what's left after that. That'll make a bigger difference than whoever is your next president. People ask me, so what's your solution? We need term limits. That's what somebody said in the last video. We need term limits. I have no respect for you people that want term limits. The same people that say you want term limits are the same people that keep re-electing the same pricks. So what you're asking for is the government to regulate your voting behavior because you don't have the discipline to do it yourself. So no, I'm not interested. Well, what's your solution? My solution is 12 and a half years of podcasts that focus 99% on things you can do in your life to make your life better. You want to know what they are? Get your ass over to tspc.co, not com, tspc.co. Take a look. I think I did episode 2760 something today. 12 years of what you can do to make your life better. Or just keep tuning in shit like this where I bitch and you nod your head and you agree or disagree and you enjoy the outrage and you feel better, but your life actually isn't any better. The choice is yours, my friends. Choose wisely. You get one dash to spend in this world, and it gets shorter every day. Make the most of that dash.